Welcome to Life on Life's Terms. It's your host, Justin, and we have a reoccurring guest, David Schmidt, in the studio today. The topics that we're going to dive into is the meditation stuff that I've been practicing throughout the month. We're going to talk about the silent meditation, mantra meditation, body scanning meditation, and breath awareness meditation. And meditation in general. I think it's going to be a wide spectrum. So how's your day going so far, David?
Everything is going well.
Yeah, that's great. Glad to hear it. So let's talk about when you got into meditation. How about that? So how is it that you came into the practice of meditation?
Kind of came into it just by being on an acreage.
Okay.
And I would sit on the fence and I would just observe everything. So you'd have the dog, black lab at the bottom.
Yeah.
And just sit there and kind of watch everything. And then you would learn to quiet the mind. So I never really got into it as a meditation practice.
Okay.
But I would kind of do meditation without having it in that formal box.
I see. So it was almost like practicing it without really knowing what it was, and it was like the mind drift. So were you closing your eyes, or was your eyes open? Was it the daydream?
Typically eyes open, but it
Okay.
was more just an observing of everything that was happening.
Okay. Yeah, that's. I think that when I was introduced into meditation, it was for exam anxiety, like I was saying, and the tricks. I've written about those tricks on the blog. So I'm sure the listeners know. If not, I'll preface later on in the blog. So yeah, my meditation started, and it was with like music and stuff. And we had a guided meditation. We had a pretty cool teacher when I was in my early teens, and she would like guide us through it, you know. And it was pretty cool to see that one can control your feelings just by quieting it all down and being so close to sleeping, yet not really asleep. So yeah, that was pretty wild for me. And I'm a psychedelic nut. I've talked about using acid many times on the show, and DMT and peyote. I was fascinated. I don't know if you know this. I was fascinated though that we tap into DMT when we're in a deep trance of meditation. So one of the episodes I talked about one of my DMT naturalistic experiences through meditation. Were you aware that actually happened, that we tap into DMT?
Yes. So what happens is you create something called serotonin.
Yeah.
That will convert to melatonin when there's no light.
Yeah.
Melatonin will convert to harmalide, carbolides, and a whole bunch of things, and then to DMT.
Yeah.
So there's a whole chain reaction that it follows all the way down.
Now, my question is, just for thought, is this why the pineal gland is able to see things? Because like DMT is basically a hallucinogen if you were to smoke it, like outside of itself. And that's actually how you dream when you're sleeping, is DMT. You feel like you've seen it in your mind's eye. So if we just preface a dream, right?
Yes.
I have felt, you remember your dream, you're like, shit, it was right there in the middle of my head, right? Is where you think you've seen it in your third eye, so to say. But it's really the pineal gland. We've talked about that on the show a couple times. But DMT is the contributing factor of the chemical reaction that happens in the brain for that to happen. The difference between having a DMT experience consciously and when you're sleeping is that there's no sleep paralysis. Yes. So DMT happens, and it's connected with the paralysis that happens when you're sleeping so that you can't hurt yourself. Basically, sleepwalkers do have a low amount of paralysis.
Yes. Also, people that awake and they think there's a gargoyle on their chest.
Yeah.
So that is the DMT and the stuff. They're partially paralyzed and partially not.
Oh, wow.
So they're not actually in the REM state where they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be paralyzed during that time. And they found for these people that's not the case. So they have like a big heavy thing on their chest, and then they have a vision of some monster or something there.
Yeah.
So that's all related, yes.
Well, and yet it obviously feels realistic, right? I mean,
very realistic.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, in some respects, sleep is the cousin of death.
Yes.
Right? Now here we're talking about meditation. I never really put it in this perspective, but maybe that's the second cousin to death to a degree, right? So when we talk about meditation in itself and having this DMT without paralysis, how is it, or what would you speculate, I would say, in your opinion, that we're able to, like, for instance, really be able to, like, help, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you could almost heal things like a stutter.
Yes.
Right? You can go over that time and time again. When you're sleeping, we know that when you're sleeping, you work things out in your head, and if you get a good night's sleep, like let's say you're learning guitar, you learn a new song or whatever, and there's new pathways and stuff, and then you go to sleep, and you didn't really get it, you kind of got it, but not really got it, and then you go to sleep the next day, you know the song instantly, you're like, shit, I got to play that,
Yes.
right? And then meditation, we can almost kind of work on it in that regard too. What's your speculation on that?
Well, a couple things. Dreams
Okay.
are real while you're dreaming.
Okay, yeah.
So which is more real, the dreams or the waking state?
Yeah.
Dreams are real while they last.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
wake up and go, oh, well, that's real too.
Yeah.
So all it is a change of perspective from there.
Okay.
So I'm going to get into a little bit near-death experience here.
Sure, yeah.
Near-death experience, you get into a very low frequency state.
Mm-hmm.
So death will be a certain frequency, and I think it's 1 hertz or something like that, 1.5 hertz.
Okay.
You get into a near-death experience. So your body is still functioning,
Okay.
but certain parts of the body and the brain have been shut off. So all the drugs like Ascahuia and all those different things will interact with a certain part of the brain.
Okay.
So there's at least 5 brains in the head,
Yeah.
and each one will control a certain thing.
Okay.
So there's one that'll control your sense of self. There's something they found called the God module, which they brought out in the X-Files, so people were kind of looking at it then.
Yeah.
So if I take electrodes, stimulate that part of the brain, you have an experience of God.
Huh. That's interesting to me because there's a theory that Moses may have been on DMT, like from I forget what the tree's called, when he had this experience with God.
Yeah, so if we want to get a little bit into that, we
Yeah, yeah.
can, but I'll get back to that in a second here.
Okay.
So back to the theta state
Yeah.
and the dream state.
Okay.
So when we are young, under 7 years of age, we're basically in a hypnotic state. So
Yeah.
everything that's coming in comes in and we go, oh, this is what life's about. We're very suggestible. After the age of 7, then we start getting into more adult states and looking at the world through a different way. So in a dream state, what we're doing is consolidating all the information. That's what they believe the purpose of sleep is.
Yeah.
So they've done a whole pile of experiments where they're going, oh, let's give them this information and reduce their sleep onset time and do this and see if they can remember this stuff. Let's change this variable, and they will do it again, and then change another variable. And they found that, yes, you're consolidating all that stuff during REM at night. So if you didn't consolidate that day, they suspect that if you try and consolidate it more than 24 hours after, that'll be lost. And they'll go, that wasn't a significant enough event during the day to actually process during the time you were sleeping. So as a general rule, we're supposed to go through 4 to 5 sleep cycles per night. Average person sleep cycle is 90 minutes.
So is that where you get is that where this ideology of 5 brains comes from?
Not exactly. That gets back into something called the triune brain.
Okay.
So triune brain, I'm going to kind of do it properly here.
Sure.
So there you got the lizard brain,
Okay.
which is your brain stem, your cerebellum.
Okay.
It's your habitual state of mind where everything happens automatically.
Okay.
So they call it the lizard brain. Lizards just kind of go on autopilot. They're not really thinking about too much, not really reacting too much. Then built on top of that, we developed something called the mammalian brain,
Okay.
which will be the animals.
Okay.
So what do animals run off of is instinct.
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
So instinct, we're sitting there going, we will react to certain things.
Yeah.
So what happened in humans is we have another part of the brain that was built on top called the neocortex.
Oh, yeah.
So the neocortex allows us to think, analyze, and kind of take a look at what we're doing and actually change our actions and change our things for the future.
Okay.
So how this is different from animals, for one reason or another, they live in the present moment.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's something bad happening, like they're getting attacked by a tiger,
Mm-hmm.
okay, Fred's gone.
Yeah, yeah.
All the other ones, as soon as the stressor is gone, will go back to the present moment, and that's where they live.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In humans, we have this wonderful ability, so it's a plus and a minus. We can understand how things are happening. We can change our awareness
Yeah.
and our perceptions, but where do we live most of the time is in the past or the future.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a good little quote from Lao Tzu,
Okay.
and it's, if you are depressed, you live in the past. If you are anxious, you live in the future. But if you are at peace, you live in the present.
Huh.
So if we live in the present, that can be a very good thing, because if we do the right action now, the future will take care of itself. The past can actually rewrite itself.
Yeah.
So I'll give you an example of that. Let's say I was walking down the mall and bumped into you.
Yeah.
You're going, oh, didn't think anything of it, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't paying attention. But if somebody says, oh, well, that guy doesn't like you, what have you done now? You've changed the past. And you're going,
Yeah.
oh, he did that on purpose. And now there's a grudge, and you're going to hold all that stuff. So
Yeah.
it's changed the actual reality.
Yeah.
But then if somebody came by and tell you again that, oh, well, that guy is blind,
Mm-hmm.
now your whole perceptions change again, going, oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
he's blind. It's my fault, actually, for not
Yeah,
watching
yeah.
out for him.
Yeah.
So you can change the past and the future by focusing the right action in the present.
I actually, so I used to do like a mind experiment with people, and this is what I would do: is I would say, when you're laying in bed tonight, in your underwear, your pajamas, and you have your blanket all the way up to your neck, and you're running through the last thoughts of the day, I guarantee you at that moment you're gonna think of me, just me, and you're gonna think, shit, a fucking guy got me. Now, the reason why that works, I invite anybody to go out there and try that with somebody. The reason why that works is because you were descriptive of, probably generically, how people go to bed. Yeah. And then what you're going to do is you're going to basically make them say, in the back of their minds, fuck that, I don't want to think of that guy. But because you just did that, and you just prescribed the way that they were going to go to sleep, it's almost like a prediction, right? And then when they're sitting there, last thoughts that they're going to have are the thoughts of you.
Yeah.
And the reason why they're going to do it is because, like you just said, you just made a benchmark in the day, and they're like, why would that prick even? Damn it! And there you are in your bed, right? And
Don't think of a pink elephant. I mean, boom, there it is.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's one of these things. But actually, what you're doing is you're setting it up for the future, and they'll forget about it from now until they go to bed, and then they're at bed and they're like, damn it, the guy he got me. He totally got me. And it'll happen every time. There's not, and if people, and I used to do this to people too, is I would say, the next day I'd see that same person, I'd say, so did you think of me before bed, sweetheart? And I said, no. I'd be like, I know, you're fucking lying. Like, you're totally lying to me. Right? But yeah, that's a trick. You pull that on anybody, I guarantee it'll work. It's the same thing though. You're basically making like a hard stop in somebody's day, in their moment of the day, right? And yeah, they're compelled to almost have that encounter again later on, right?
Well, there's the 5 brains in there, so which one is dominant is dependent on the general frequency that your brain is running off of.
Yeah, yeah.
So some people are full of anxiety.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're always focused on negative stuff.
Yeah.
Other people are going to be like, oh, it's okay, whatever's happening. They're going to focus on different things.
Yeah.
But this is kind of how they think it works, but they're not sure. Like, I mean, nobody ultimately knows.
Yeah.
But they think that what happens is your goal is to try and focus on something. The different parts of the brain will go, hey, I'll buy into that.
So
This one will come, I buy into that. I still don't.
Yeah,
But once enough of them do, that becomes the predominant focus.
So I kind of, you and I were talking before the show, and I've said this with for the listeners before, is that the first week of this month, I did silent meditation. And I talked to you about the preface of it where, I'd let my monkey mind go and investigate sounds and then come back, and then I would have an anxious moment.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking about what's going on in the future, in the very near future, like seconds. And I would say to myself, no, you don't have to do that right now. Right now, were just being silent. So I'd bring it back to the moment, right? Then what that contributed to later on is when I became reactionary in feelings, I was able to recognize in the moment, no, Justin, you don't have to do that. You don't have to react that way. These feelings don't matter in this moment. Become detached from it. Now, I said in the blog, for any of the listeners out there who read the blog, that I could do that over days. So if I felt my stomach do some weird things and there was some strange feelings, I just wouldn't deal with the situation for a couple of days because I knew it would, pave itself out. And then I would deal with it accordingly in a couple of days. Now I've started to recognize that right away. Right away, I can take that quick reprieve, look at what's happening, take the breath almost, so to say, be centered in the moment, and then move forward. And I really don't look for... I learned in prison, man, not to look past tomorrow, like today even. Even recovery taught me that. So I don't have really that big of an issue with it. But again, like I said, like I was saying with the anxiety and practicing that silent meditation, that's a real right now practice. And I guess what I'm kind of trying to couple at this point is we're talking about how thinking pathology gets changed from sleeping. And then here we are utilizing meditation, which is like the second cousin to death and the cousin to sleeping, utilizing that to change the thinking pathology so that it doesn't take me a couple days anymore. It literally takes me like minutes, seconds, even to recenter myself very, very quickly.
Well, you're now aware. So if you were angry, you wouldn't know you're angry. You're just acting out.
Yeah.
Now you're going, I'm angry.
Yeah.
Okay, now you can pause, you can do something about it. So where do most people live? The moment after the moment that's just happened, they're reacting. They're never living.
Yeah,
so, there is living versus reacting, and most people will never get back into that present moment where they are actually living life.
Yeah. And I guess one of the things, too, is you could become an animal as opposed to being a human, right? That's the other perspective. Like in that book I'm reading, Shambhala's Sacred Path to the Warrior, it's basically one of the pieces that they were saying in that book was you could be a reactionary person, but how is that being a warrior?
Yes.
You're not really thinking about what's happening, what's going on. You're not assessing reality. And you're not practicing, as they had said, I may say this incorrectly, but the philosophy of Drala, where you're above the situation looking at reality or above your enemy. And like I had said in my blog, I have been my own worst enemy way more than once, right? So sometimes it's nice to be able to get above yourself. And I think that happens with the silent meditation. I think you learn that in that practice, right?
Well, one of the points to being the warrior is at one point the warrior realizes that they are also the healer.
Yeah,
exactly. So there is no distinction between them. So people think that, one is about death and no. Both of them are about life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that is an interesting fact because that wasn't an interesting perspective, I should say. That because that's basically what the book was getting into was as much as you're a warrior, it's not about taking from life, it's about being a life provider.
And providing service to humanity, right. God, and everything else.
That's right. It's a purpose of servitude.
Yes, so it's a state of impeccability where you do the right action because you have removed the ego from the self.
That's
so you can be ego-centered going, me, they just insulted me.
Yeah.
Or they could be at a higher level following the spirit.
Yeah, that's right.
So if they're following the spirit, now they're going to see that everything is interrelated and that they're harming themselves, in fact.
That's a pretty deep perspective, right? Like when you really get down to it, because we had said before, and I got this, I forget from which Tibetan monk, but he basically said, you ever at times when you're meditating feel overwhelmed? I was like, yeah. When he's saying that, right? I answered, I was like, yeah. He's like, you want that to stop? I was like, yeah. He's like, start giving instead of looking to take. Because he's like, the only reason why you feel overwhelmed is because you're sitting in an ocean. And the second that you decide that you're going to give the drops of water that you have to the ocean, then your overwhelming feeling will be gone. And then you'll be able to sit without contempt in your meditative practice, looking for something out of it. Instead, you're just going to provide to the environment that you're a part of. And as soon as he said that, I was like, shit, that makes so much more sense than sitting there for an hour and a half like I have been doing this stuff, looking for something out of silence, looking for something out of a mantra. And this is like, we're talking almost 9 years of meditative practice like that, where I was looking for my own healing. I was like, no, man, healing happens because you've healed, right?
Yeah. So I've had quite a few people, and they've said they've been meditating for 45 years.
Yeah.
I go, why? They don't have an answer.
Yeah.
Every day they go and do their chanting.
Yeah.
And every day they do this. I'm like, what have you benefited from that?
Yeah.
Well, nothing. They're not clear on what they're supposed to be doing, and there's no purpose behind it.
Isn't that sad? A little bit.
So it is very sad because, 45 years?
Yeah. Yeah, just sitting in the abyss of unknown, right? I mean, but then again, we were talking about, type O blood types and all that stuff. That could also be almost like competitive intuition of like, what the hell is the purpose of this, right? Trying to figure that out, right? I think some people have just the ability to be content with, I'm doing it for whatever I'm doing it with, almost like a sheeple. That's a really shitty word to say, but it's like a sheeple. You know what I mean? They're just there droning away, sitting on their mat, doing what they're doing.
Yes, which is not meditation at that point.
No, that's right. And
so there is one good thing about it. They are not engaging in any bad behaviors at that point, but they're also not gaining anything from it.
Yeah.
So, if you're going to chant every day, yes, there are some benefits, but it's not really meditation. So if I'm going to chant, I'm toning the vagal nerve, and that will actually get my body out of fight or flight mode and into relaxation, repair, rebuilding mode.
So I floated today. I was telling you about this. In my experience today, I float often, at least minimum once a month over at Modern Gravity here in Edmonton. And I noticed today that I was hearing a humming as I was sitting in the water, and this humming was like this energy humming, it was quite strange. And I realized it was my mouth. My mouth was that tight and then finally I started working at saying, just, you can relax your mouth, and then you break it down to the tongue, and then, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden the jaw starts relaxing, and I was like, oh, wow, I couldn't believe that I was holding that much tension in my jaw. And then I was like, well, yeah, but what's my job? Right? I do podcasts and I talk all of the time. So, yeah.
Well, there is something you can tune into. They call it the who noise. So HU.
Okay.
And it's an underlying kind of vibration of the world. And some people will tune into that. So it's a little different from tinnitus, where tinnitus is kind of a little more abrasive. Although sometimes people will still kind of mix the two up.
Okay.
But the who noise, you're kind of tuning into that, and it kind of gives you that calm, peaceful thing.
Okay.
So some people will do that. So another theory, which relates even to tinnitus, often the issue is not in the ears or the nerves themselves. It's actually in the area that processes sound in the brain.
Oh, okay.
So if they're not getting any stimulation in the brain, what does it do? It looks for stimulation or will actually generate its own stimulation. So that's when people have, I had a vision.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Did you have a vision, or is that your imagination making some of that stuff up because it's looking for something familiar in there that it can do? So, they have taken people with tinnitus, cut the actual nerve, and it doesn't get better. So what they do is we do a little bit of work with brainwave entrainment, so audiovisual entrainment, and do stuff where we stimulate that part of the brain. And what it does is it changes the settings at which it actually becomes active and releases stuff. Okay. So it'll go, normally I would be active at this point, or kind of going, there's nothing happening, so I need more stimulation. The noises would actually drop.
Oh, wow.
So even the who noise, when there's nothing happening in the brain, you're going to start picking up on some of these things, or whatever tensions are currently in the brain.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. It does actually make sense.
So that's why it's also so scary for some people when they meditate, is because what are they doing is giving up control.
Well, that's
And some people, for that's the most terrifying thing out there.
well, and that's the thing. So Kenny had the co-host on the show. He had his girlfriend go float with him, and it was the worst experience of her life. So he said, because she has a hamster wheel running all the time, and for her to stop that hamster wheel, it blew her mind. She just couldn't, because now she was left inside of her head.
Yes, you have to face what's inside now.
Yeah, exactly. And she wasn't able to do that. And I think there's a little bit of, Kenny and I have talked about this, where there's a little bit of fortitude from those who come out of prison, where, like, you don't have a choice. You go in the room, they lock the door behind you, and you're faced to deal with your own shit, so to say.
Yes.
I mean, you could read books all you want, you could color, you do whatever the hell you want in the cell, but I mean, eventually you're going to run out of that.
Yeah.
And when you run out of that, the last thing that's left is to be, left with the thoughts and the things that you've done. And you have to work through that, and at some level of capacity, unless you have just no morality or no remorse, right? Which there's those people in this world. There's not many of them, I would hope, or I suspect. But that does happen, right? So I think guys who are in prison have almost an unnatural ability that's been naturally provided to them through the consequence of prison.
Well, there's one thing that comes up when people are in prison and different things like that, or long-term meditators.
Yeah.
They see the most beautiful thing in the tiniest little
Yeah.
thing. So if something else somebody else would take for granted,
Yeah.
you'll be like, that is amazing. Hey, dude, that's just a bird singing.
Yeah.
No, that is the most amazing thing I have
Yeah.
ever heard.
So I'll compare this as well. So we talk about gratitude, right? Well, the reason why an attitude of gratitude is great, because it means it's already been done, right? So you're projecting that as it's done. But there's a piece that people also miss that's just as important as gratitude, and that's appreciation.
Yes.
Because when you appreciate something, that's the pre. The gratitude is the post. Where are you living in the middle? Where is the present? The present is in between appreciation and gratitude. And there's a transition that needs to happen there. And it's beautiful to live in gratitude all the time and have an attitude of gratitude. I mean, you're literally living in a place where everything's already completed and you're already there. But when you don't see the appreciation, you forget why there's gratitude there. And that needs to be a fine balance between the two. Because without appreciation, you won't hear those birds. You'll be grateful that they're singing.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing. But you won't see that they are singing.
Yes.
Right? There's no segue into the present. You're already living in the done.
Well, the other
Right.
thing gratitude brings up is, why will the universe give you more if you don't appreciate what's already there?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're looking for things outside of yourself. When you do gratitude, you're now looking inside for the happiness. It doesn't come from outside. It
Yeah.
comes from how you see the world and what you appreciate. Yes.
Yeah. That's
So it's a total switch. So I mean,
Yeah.
I have a lot of people with insomnia. They can't sleep.
yeah.
What's their mind doing? Oh, I have to do this. I have to do
Yeah.
this. I have to do this. So I've told them, do a little bit of gratitude.
Mm-hmm.
Shuts off the other parts of the brain, and now you'll be able to go to sleep.
Yeah. That happens to
But they have to feel the gratitude. So
Yeah.
what they're doing is, oh, I'm thankful for this, and it's all mental. It's all verbal.
Yeah.
Wrong side of the brain.
Yeah, I have guys that I work with in addiction. Actually, it's funny that you say that, where I'll say attitude of gratitude means you won't relapse. So I'll say you need to come up with 5 things that you're grateful for every day. And before you're done your day, you need to text them to me. So the first week I'll get things like, I'm grateful for my shoes, and I'm grateful for my pen, and I'm grateful that I have a house and a roof, and I'm grateful that I have clothes and food. And then all of a sudden, and I tell them they're not allowed to do repeats. They're not allowed to repeat things. So very quickly they run out of materialistic things that they're grateful for. And then all of a sudden they have to look into themselves of what they're grateful for. And it's like, well, okay, so do you have peace of mind today? You know, and they're like, well, kinda. I'm like, okay, did you like yourself at any point today? Yeah, I liked myself. Well, that might be, a piece of gratitude that you might want to hold on to. Do you appreciate that you liked yourself? Yeah, I do. Yeah, well, now we're talking about something that's inside of you, right? You're actually reflecting on the change that's happening in your moral psyche change.
It's also a change in perspective. So, I mean, there's that old poem. Well, I wasn't thankful for the shoes on my feet till I saw somebody with no feet. I wasn't thankful for my job and paying taxes till I saw somebody who had no job.
Yeah.
I mean, it puts things in perspective very quick.
Yeah, it does.
Realistically, is our life that bad? No. We could be in a concentration camp getting beat up every day.
Yeah.
So even people I have respect for, like Nelson Mandela, when he was in prison, he was beaten every day.
Yeah.
And one day he decided, wait a sec, these guys aren't my enemy. They're in their own prison. They're being forced to do this. They don't really want to do all this stuff. And he smiled at them. They became friends. And they stopped beating him. But he was able to forgive them. At one point, he got fed up enough where he said, no, I'm going to meditate and I'm going to focus on what is good here.
Yeah. Well, I think that becomes... when I was talking about that Shambhala sacred path to the warrior, that's basically what they were saying is you will only be able to find the positive as long as you're living within the present, getting rid of self through resentment or begrudging or any of that, and recognize that is really just a waste of time. You know, that's so human. That's the animal. That's not who we really are.
It's one part of ourselves, but we can rise above that.
Yeah, that becomes the Drala thing, right? Where you're able to get above what it is that your enemy is. You're not seeing it as...
Well, you can have compassion for your enemy, realizing they're in the same boat as you are.
Well, and they were talking about that as well as how you forgive yourself in order to move on. And then I think... to tie meditation into that is you can physically see that in your mind's eye. But again, so we should maybe preface this. When somebody's learning to meditate, because I just realized this, we may have jumped to a whole nother way, because there is an infancy of meditating.
Yes.
And so I'll describe a little bit of how I was taught in the beginning and then run through your module. So the way how I was taught was to use my mind's eye, start with a color of gray, because it's very natural, neutral, and it's calming for the most part, and it's easy for your mind's eye to project that in your mind. And then from there, we would flip. And so this is when I was a teenager, and the teacher was guiding me through the meditation. She would say, go to pink, go to red, go to orange. And so she's actually teaching me that I can manifest these colors within my mind's eye. And then once we got there, then she would go into situations. You're sitting at the desk, you've got the pen in your hand, the exam is in front of you. And that's a really quick form to how it went, but that's basically what it was. And then from there, she would say, do you feel yourself light? You know, do you feel yourself not sitting in your seat anymore? Do you really know what position you're in, right? And then those questions would happen. You'd be like, holy shit. Like, I remember she asked me the first time, like as we're in the meditation, she'd be like, do you really know what position you're in? I'm like, holy shit, I don't. Yeah. I really don't. And I got that same experience floating. Not a clue. You don't know if you're in the water or if you're not in the water.
Well, it is sensory deprivation. Yeah, I mean, you don't feel anything.
You can taste. You still feel the water. You still see. You can still hear. You know, you hear all of it. Your senses aren't really deprived of. What's deprived of is your reality of space. That's gone because you're literally floating. It feels like you're in space. So your perception of space is gone. And meditation will give you the same thing, provided that you practice that in the way where you concentrate on your breath or whatever it is. Yes. So what I was taught was the colors.
Okay, well, why they're starting with colors, I believe, in your case, is what do most of us have a predominance for is the thinking aspect of the brain.
Yes.
So it's the one that harps on us.
Yeah.
Nope, you're not safe, you're not this, you can't do this, you can't do this.
Yeah.
And it's always creating all these little stories that are designed to keep you safe somewhat, but not so great as a growth experience.
Yeah.
So what they're doing when they do the colors and the visualization is we are activating the other side of the brain, and strengthening the brain's ability to actually listen to that aspect.
Okay.
And then in long term, what our goal is to actually balance the right and left hemispheres
Okay. Okay.
so that they both have an equal voice. So I mean, one is going, I'm going to keep you safe, and the other one's going, no, go out, live life.
Yeah.
Good balance between those
Yeah.
is quite beneficial.
Yeah.
So if you're too far in one, going, no, I'm going to go run down the street and the thing, that's not good. The other one's going, oh, if I lock you up in your room, you're safe.
Yeah.
Neither one is a great
yeah.
extreme.
Yeah.
Because neither one is allowing you to experience life.
Yeah. And it was used, like I said, it was used to combat exam anxiety, because that was a huge deal for a lot of the kids in my class.
Which is that little voice. So once you start focusing on the other one, going your inner coach.
Yeah.
Let's go strengthen the inner coach. Let's go see what it has to say and stop listening to the inner critic as much.
Yeah.
But if you also talk back to your inner critic, over time, it actually loses its voice. So it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
So they go, oh, you're stupid. You can't learn anything. Did you learn how to walk?
Yeah.
If you want to see how hard it is to learn how to walk, you've talked to somebody who's been in the hospital for a while.
Yeah.
They literally have to learn how to walk again. It's not an easy process.
Yeah, no, it's not.
So I learned how to do this. I learned how to do. So is that voice always true? No.
Yeah.
So you challenge, you go, is whether it's telling me true or not. Mm-hmm. So then if going, it's not always true, then you go, please be quiet. I'm going to listen to the other voice. Thank you for trying to protect me.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a balance that you can bring into between the two voices.
So when you're dealing with somebody who is in an infancy of meditation, how is it that you prescribe to them how to start their meditation practice? Like, where is it that you start, or how do you assess where the start is?
Okay, well, there's a couple things that we'll work on here. So, I mean, there's a way of determining what a good meditation object is.
Okay.
So a good teacher will kind of take a look at the individual and going, what is the predominant kind of force or hindrance that is holding you back?
Okay.
And from that, they will determine here's a good way to meditate. But as far as meditation, first thing we have to figure out is what is the person actually looking for?
Mm-hmm.
So what is meditation? And I mean, that's a complicated question. So I'll go into a couple different traditions.
Mm-hmm.
So in something like Zen, what are we looking for? Empty mind. So what is the goal if you're going to follow something like Zen? Is often to boost up your vitality, or some of them are looking for immortality. So I mean, part of that would be getting rid of the ego. If I was going to look at it from an East Indian tradition, what is their goal there is to serve God. I mean, that's part of what yoga and all those things actually mean. And they're going, here's the 8 traditions in which you can serve God.
Okay.
But the goal is to become unified with God.
Okay.
So, I mean, in their tradition, they're going, that is the goal of it.
Okay.
If you get into something like Tibetan, Tibetan will have a kind of a different tradition as well again.
Okay.
So they're going to focus on emptiness of sunyata.
Okay.
And the tenet there is that all things are empty of intrinsic existence and nature.
Okay.
So they're not really trying to get rid of the mind per se, although in the West, this is what we perceive that they are saying. Oh, the goal is to empty the mind. I'm like, no, if you have the monkey mind, so it's going around telling you all these things, oh, I'm focusing on the breath here.
Yeah.
Oh, what time does the clock say? Is it time yet?
Yeah.
Oh, what's that person over there? What are they doing?
Yeah.
Oh, there's something happening outside there. I can hear that.
Yeah.
The goal at that point is always just to return to the breath and notice and say, yeah, that's happening.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not to give any attachment to it. Don't give it any more power by going, that's positive, negative. Oh, I noticed it, and we move on. So from a Theravada Buddhist point, there is something called, well, the goal would be that there's no ultimate, eternal, permanent self or essence that can be experienced and identified separately. So what they focus on is something called the 5 aggregates, which is contact, feeling, perception, intention, and attention.
Okay.
And they're saying there is no person behind all of this.
Okay.
So who blows the wind? Nobody.
Yeah.
So is there an actual individual inside of you that is controlling all this? In Theravada Buddhism, they would go no. So all we are is a accumulation of those 5 aggregates, and it's saying because you have eyes and there's an object, there's eye consciousness.
Yeah.
Because there's an object and you have an ear, there's ear consciousness, and this is a process, but there is no self in there. So part of their goal would be to actually get rid of the ego permanently.
And is that along the line of Tibetan philosophy?
Insofar as they will both follow the 4 Noble Truths and different things, the focus is a little bit different.
Okay. So what dictates the focus? Is it geographical, or is it just like
in this case, religious? I mean, from a Western point of view,
Okay.
what are we looking for in meditation? Oh, I'm too stressed and I need to get all this stuff out
Yeah,
of here. So
what
most
I-
people,
yeah.
that's what they're coming to meditation for.
Yeah,
is
what
I'm
I
going,
need. Yeah.
I am in pain and I
Yeah.
need to get rid of this pain.
Yeah.
And there's nothing inside, there's a great void, the whole thing. So, I mean, even if we're going to get into something like therapy, what's your goal? Is to create a coherent self.
Mm-hmm.
What is your goal in Buddhism? To some degree is to get rid of the self.
Mm-hmm.
But do they have a similar focus? Yes. So that similar focus is they share the common goal of ending the experience of suffering and attempt to get rid of the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
But they're focusing at it for 2 different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
So in Buddhism, the goal is to get out of samsara, or the eternal cycle of existence, and going, I don't want to do this anymore, and we're trying to get to some place called nirvana or nibbana,
Mm-hmm.
and we're trying to get out of that cycle of existence, going, life is suffering, this can never make you happy, fulfilled. So the goal is to actually remove the influences of that and not have it affect you as much.
Yeah.
Whereas from a Western point of view, our goal is to try and bring that down to the state of the world and actually being able to function in the world.
Yeah.
So there's 2 levels of reality here.
Yeah.
One is the supreme reality, and the other one is a day-to-day lived reality.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in shamanism and all those things, the goal is to be able to switch back and forth between those as needed. So the Zen people have a wonderful saying: before enlightenment, chop wood, cook, boil water. After enlightenment, chop wood, cook, boil water.
Mm-hmm.
But how they're doing it is totally different.
And so, where is the philosophy of Zen coming from? Like, what geographical area could we say? Is it Tibetan? Is it Chinese? Is it like which area does that come from?
It originally came from India,
Okay.
but there was a gentleman, Bodhidharma, who went and took it to places like Japan, China. So in Zen Buddhism would be considered the Japanese.
Okay.
Chan Buddhism would be the same, which is the Chinese version. Tibetan Buddhism is very similar in some respects,
Mm-hmm.
but they also had a pre-existing religion there, Bon,
Okay.
where they had local deities and that, so it was almost incorporated into their natural way of looking at the world already.
Okay.
So like from a Christian point of view,
Mm-hmm.
they don't really do meditation in the same way. I mean, the closest
Yeah.
conception I can probably get from that is some of the saints going perpetually praying without ceasing.
Well, so there's the rosary, and I would suggest, being an active Catholic, the rosary would be the same idea as a mantra with a mala.
Yes.
Okay. So like, and you actually do use your mind's eye in the rosary prayer. You will meditate upon the described decade prayer. So for instance, you ever watch the movie Passions of the Christ?
Yes.
So the Passions of the Christ is one of the rosary prayers that we as Catholics have. And over each decade, which we would consider 10 beads, you will have when Christ when Judas came in the garden to get him with the Romans. And then from there he was then he was like pushed to be judged upon. Then from judgment, he went to scourging. From scourging, they put the cloak on him and, made fun of him. And then from there, they finally made him walk to get crucified. So those would be, you would meditate upon all of those things around the rosary. And essentially what the rosary is, because we don't believe, or Catholics don't believe, that anything of this world is really that great. You leave it behind. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
So like the rosary is literally just a counter. It's not meant to pray to anything. It's not meant to be anything but to allocate the same amount of time on each meditation, right? Is what that's described for. And when we look at the mala, essentially that's what the mala is asking you to do as well, is it's only allowing you to focus on 108 beads,
Yes.
back and forth on whatever it is that you're doing, and it's only subject to a time of how far, how many breaths you decide to take per mala. So some of the challenges that I've seen other people do, and correct me if I'm wrong, 3 breaths per mala. People have no idea how long that meditation actually is. That's about a 2-hour meditation when you're sitting down. And I've seen monks do this to people where they say, let's go 5 breaths per bead, and like you can tell a novice because they have no idea what that is. And they're like 3 or 4 beads in, and you can see them as they're sitting on the mat, they're feeling their back. They're not even holding the mala anymore. They're just hoping to God that it's almost done, right? So I've seen monks do that.
At which point we sometimes focus on pain meditation.
That's right.
We
Body
go
scanning.
into the pain and go, where is it?
Yeah.
And we find it's not there.
Yeah.
So, you can reduce a large percentage of the pain by going into the pain and think of it as a friend instead and going, where are you? What's the message?
Yeah.
Oh, it's here. No, it's not here. It becomes nebulous.
Yeah.
So there's a huge difference between I am in pain versus there is pain.
Yeah.
You're regulating it back to the realm of a sensation.
Yeah.
Which will come and go.
Yeah.
So it will pass.
Yeah. So, and just like I was just clarifying the rosary itself, because I think a lot of people they really don't know why Catholics use that. As far as I know, in the Christian world, they're really the only thing that's closest to using anything that's like a mala.
Well, the Tibetans will do the 108 beads as well. And they use it more as the counting technique to go.
Yeah. So is there, in other forms of meditation, is there other malas that are different sizes, different beads, different than the Tibetan structure for the use of the mala?
There are, yes, but I'm not that familiar with the reasons behind some of those.
Okay.
Because nobody seems to really know. They have different sets. 108 is the one I'm most familiar with.
Yeah. Me too. I was just wondering, like, putting it out there. If there's listeners out there who know something that we don't know, please message in on the podcast, because it would be beautiful to hear that stuff. Yeah, for sure. So
one more thing, getting back to the chanting.
Yeah, you got it.
Chanting will create a resonance. So if I'm doing a good guttural thing, that will actually bring the body I will tone the vagal nerve and bring us back into more a sense of peace.
Okay.
The frequency in there can change the awareness of the brain.
Okay.
But what they did is some studies. So
Okay.
they were saying like prayer, chanting, things like that may inhibit something called alpha waves a little too much from forming in the neocortex, so the new part of the brain.
So who did this? Like, who came up with that?
There's quite a few studies out there.
Okay.
So that's what they did is I've kind of compiled them all into one list here.
All right, that's cool, yeah.
But they found there was too much thinking cognition in there, so you weren't able to get into a good meditative state.
Okay.
So we were focused too much on what do I need to do here, and it's more the cognition aspect versus going back to the feeling aspect again as well.
I see.
So in a lot of traditions, especially the Buddhist, they have something called the 4 foundations of mindfulness.
Okay.
So this is part of how we would determine what most people need to start for meditation. The breath is considered universal because you can't get much more basic than that. You take another breath, you go on.
Yeah.
You don't take another breath, that's it.
Yeah.
So it is extremely basic. So some people will be able to sit there and focus on the breath in, breath out. Some will focus more on sensation, some more on the feeling. Some people start with counting the breath a little more, which can activate the wrong side of the brain a little much for most people because now they're thinking too much again.
Yeah.
But the 4 foundations of mindfulness are mindfulness of the body,
Okay.
which is something most of us don't do other than we're thinking and going, oh, I have pain down here.
Yeah.
Are we feeling the pain? No, we're just thinking about it, so it's actually a mental construct for the pain. So in something like Buddhism, we're going, the body is transient form, and they're going, this is not me, this is not mine, the body.
Okay.
So most people find it beneficial to start with the body, so that's where they're doing that visualization going, feel your legs really heavy, then move up to the ankle, and they will do a systematic thing through the entire body.
Yeah.
Because most people haven't spent any time there.
Yeah.
So it's going,
So that's a body
this is
scan.
the body where you live. It's basically
Yeah.
like a body scan.
Yeah.
And then there is mindfulness of feelings and sensations. So feelings are a reactive response again.
Okay.
And again, they come, they go, and they pass. So if I have a feeling about something, I can have a positive feeling, a negative feeling, or a neutral.
Yeah.
As we develop the brain over a longer period of time, we get something called equanimity, which says, yeah, these are just phenomena coming and passing before me. I'm just going to sit here and watch them, and they will come and go. They no longer cause me all that suffering.
Yeah.
There is mindfulness of the mind, or what we'd call consciousness. And there again, we go, it's just a passing state of moods.
Yeah.
It will come, it will notice, it will go.
Yeah.
And then the final one is basically meditation or mindfulness of mental factors or phenomenon. Phenomena are just a mental state.
Yeah.
We're noticing it because it's there, and we have a new focus now and we move on again.
Yeah.
So the foundations of mindfulness is enough to get most people to where they need to go. So there is something called the 3 poisons.
Okay.
3 poisons are hatred/anger,
Yeah.
greed and desire,
Yeah.
so wanting everything, and ignorance.
Okay.
So ignorance about how things really are going. There's a permanent self here. Everything revolves around me. So egocentric too. There's something called the dependent origination.
So the guy
So if I have a piece of paper, where did this come from? The sunlight needs to be here to grow the tree. The water needs to form. This guy needs to have been born. All these things need to happen for me to have this piece of paper. And what is the piece of paper? It's something we are labeling a piece of paper, but it's already becoming something else.
I was actually going to use the analogy of I'm irreplaceable.
Yeah.
Right? You'll hear people saying, well, they would never fire me because they couldn't replace me. No,
That's
you're
when you get
replaceable.
fired.
Yeah, you're replaceable. The only way how you're not replaceable is if on a contingency you make yourself irreplaceable.
Yes.
I mean, you can't live in yesterday. You know what I mean? What you did yesterday doesn't mean shit today, right? What happens today is what matters today.
Yeah.
You know.
So from the point of view of meditation to actually move one closer to enlightenment.
Yeah.
A good meditation master would actually look at the characteristics of the people and go, which one is dominant for these 3 things? So if you have more hate dominance, you're angry often, irritated a lot of the time, you eat, walk, speak quickly, then they go, we want you to practice something called metta meditation.
Okay.
So that's basically loving kindness, and you're focusing on goodwill, compassion for others. And that will actually decrease the hold of the anger and all those things on you. You realize, hey, that person's just trying to survive just like me.
Yeah.
So what do we all want? We all want to be happy. We all want to be free from pain. They're just like us. They're just doing it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
But you can start having compassion for your enemy now, and that changes the whole relationship between you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a good example was during the war. How do you get somebody to kill somebody else? You dehumanize them.
Yeah.
So it's them, and that's the evil people that are going to come and take your wife away and the whole thing. They're not people.
Yeah.
So only when they're not people, but they have those instances during like Christmas and stuff where they would cross the trenches, talk to each other, show the pictures, and they were going, now go kill them. And they're going, but they're just following orders. This has nothing to do with it. They have families too. I saw their pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes it an awful lot harder now to go out and do the same thing they were doing previously.
Yeah.
So it changes the entire relationship.
Do you think this age of, so I just did an episode where we were talking about AI and social media and stuff. Do you think that this social media, strange thing with that theory is this, we can humanize anybody through social media to a degree because we can see pictures, Facebook or whatever. Yet there is no recourse. When somebody says something, we demonize them right away, yet they have access to their kids or like pictures of their kids or their family or whatever. But yet we still won't give them any recourse to some sort of retribution. Instead, we hang them on the cross like we did Jesus Christ and,
Yes.
throw them away. And so I agree with you that
Because they don't see him. In some ways, it's bringing the world closer, but it's not developing a real relationship with that person.
So
that's this person over here I've never met.
Yeah.
So they're just a thing.
So my point is this, is like, does it have to be the human encounter? Because apparently the filter through Facebook doesn't make it real enough.
No.
You see what I'm saying? So like when you're talking about the soldiers, they could touch each other. There's a humanness there, right? They saw each other's pictures and stuff, and just on the
They
plane
sang
of
together.
yeah, like just on the plane of humanizing it, pictures. That's not enough for us. There needs to be an actual energy that happens, or an actual touch that happens between people in order to make it human. Because Facebook, Instagram, and all these things is really just a fast way of exchanging information. Like, picture says 1,000 words. That's all it's really doing.
But now what can we do? Press a button and blow somebody up 1,000 miles away.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
They're not even real.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't even see the consequences of the action. I mean, that's one of the parts of what a lot of religions are trying to teach is wisdom with compassion.
Yeah.
So it's not just compassion. So there's something called right action. Right action helps you, helps the other person, helps society and the world in general.
Yeah.
Very hard to get to that point, but that's the ultimate goal, is to have wisdom and see how everything fits together in addition.
Yeah.
So that would be when it comes down to you're going to meditate on the ignorance, going, oh, there's just me and all these other people, us, them. No.
Yeah.
Without all of them, you couldn't exist either. So
Yeah.
once they understand that we're a network where we are all one, connected in some way through all these process and things that are happening, then we can get somebody. So there's something called Vipassana meditation, which is the second part of Buddhism.
Yeah.
So Buddhism, the first goal for a lot of the meditations is something to bring clarity, just being able to focus on something for an extended period of time.
Okay.
So I mean, how long is our attention span, the average person? Very short.
Yeah.
It's saying we've got to at least quiet the mind so you're not going, oh, what else and what's over there and what's here? No, we're going to see who you are, what's going on inside. Once you can do that sustainably and you can sit down and go, I can meditate for an hour on one object.
Yeah.
Now we're going to take another look and go, now we're going to do the second part of meditation, which as far as I know is only available in Buddhism, and that says, we're going to show you how this all fits together.
Yeah.
So lifting the leg. I have the intention to lift the leg. Okay, the leg lifts. Okay, now it's over. So we can start breaking things down and see the little processes going. We don't need an individual to be in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the best example I can probably think of is imagine a castle that you've built in your mind.
Yeah.
So who built the castle? Like, who were the people that put the doors on and all that? It's not relevant at that point.
Yeah.
Because there's no real castle that exists, and it's a figment of our imagination. So in the same way, if there's no us inside, so I mean, Buddhism doesn't say that there's no person. There is a person that we use like a construct to be able to function in the relative world.
Okay.
So we still need a relative us, but that's not who we are, and we get rid of all the ignorance surrounding that.
Huh.
So once you get rid of the idea, like even the castle, or if you want to go back to the Big Bang and all these things, in Buddhism, they're going, Well, there is no one original cause according to them. And this goes for Tibetan Buddhism as well. They're going, this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this causes this to happen. If this wasn't there, this can't happen. But it's an interaction of all these things.
Yeah.
So they go, there is no primary cause.
Huh.
So at that point, you don't need a God. You don't need this principle. So even if getting into Einstein just for a bit, as we change the speed that we go, time changes.
Yeah.
So that's part of what meditation is supposed to do, is actually get us out of the concept of time and space.
Well, so
and that's where drugs, people go, oh, I can do this.
Yeah.
So like peyote.
That's actually what I was talking about in an earlier episode, was when I had this DMT experience through meditating. I went a substantial amount of meditating, and it felt within the blip of 5 minutes. But when I know it was the amount of time that it was, because I had a background track that was playing in that time, and I was gone. Like, I was gone. And I have been able to reoccur that touch. I can go back to that place and just lose track of time while I'm meditating. The only times that I'm in there to contribute is if I'm using, I shouldn't say the only times to contribute. The times that I have an actual decree of time is when I use a mala. And when I use a mala, that's the only time that I have a decree. But then there's times I call it going off the reservation or whatever, going off the marquee or whatever, where there's no decree of time, and I just allow myself to go. And that happens often enough, but not as often as it should, because time is always of the essence, right? Like, yes. It becomes, right? So I think that there's a fine balance sometimes. And when you find that you can get to a place where time doesn't matter anymore, you're going to find that you will have those DMT experiences just naturally. I mean, we all make it. You don't have to go and smoke it. You can just tap into it through your mind's eye.
The difference there is the control factor. One, I'm making a drug do it for me. The other one, I can bring it on at will, and it can go on for an extended period of time. I decide how long I want to do it for.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
And you can switch back between the relative reality and the absolute reality. I mean, to function, we kind of need both.
Yeah. Granted, yeah.
So, I mean, there's something called the posterior cingulate cortex, which is the timestamp that links what's going on mentally versus the outside world. And there's also a medial prefrontal cortex, which is the hub of your conceptual self. So certain mushrooms and different things will actually change both of those, and now there's no distinction. So what it's doing is it's shutting off certain of the brains in the brain, so no feedback is coming in. If you overload the system, it goes, whoa, I can't handle this. It actually can make the self disappear. It can make time disappear. Oh, I'm having experience of God. There is no separation between me and the external world anymore. I am one with all. So, I mean, there are ways of doing this. But there's better ways if you want like a permanent change. That has to come through the process, and it's not an easy process to do the meditating.
Well, I think that's the challenge of meditating, right? Like when we really we try to break it down. You know, like you said, there's people out there for 45 years who have been meditating with no realization of why they're even doing it. They're just sheeple, really is what they are.
Well, I even asked them.
Are
you trying to talk to God? Are you trying to listen at least? Are you saying, here's what I want? No, I just go through this process. Then it's a ritual. The ritual doesn't get us anywhere. It's not meditation.
Well, I think that's the other thing, too, that I've learned through this Shambhala Sacred Path of the Warriors, that it's a community where we are supposed to be a community together. And I mean, I'm Catholic. I'm not like I've read or been reading about Buddhist philosophies, but I don't think your religious digest really dictates. I mean, dictates what you can and cannot do. And instead, what I would suspect is that we're all on the same plane, going to the same thing, and that's at least some sort of peace here and now, maybe after. Or hopefully
peace, greater awareness, not being run through the ego, which has control. So, I mean, part of it ultimately comes down to freedom. See reality as it is.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the ultimate. Is that what most people are looking for? No.
Well, and I think this is what I brought up in my last blog that I think we might want to spend a little time on is so this is the supernatural month, and the reason why I picked meditation, unbeknownst to a lot of people, I would suspect, unless they read that blog, is how alien our thoughts are. Because we all have thoughts that we've put together, right? And we've constructed it, so on and so forth. And then there are those aha moments where you get a new realization, a new plateau, a new plane,
new way of putting it all together. Yeah. Yes.
And so my question in the blog was this: where? Because that's an alien. It's foreign to you, and we're talking about the word alien as in its description. It's not from you. It came from outside of you. Because when we get to that aha moment, you would have never come up with that realization before, yet here you are now.
Yes.
So when we look at the chemistry in the brain only fires the same chemistry again and again and again and again and again, yet we're the ones who come up with a different solution. Sometimes and sometimes not. Sometimes we come up with the same exact solution over again. Well, that's a patent. Yes. Right? That's patently the same.
Well, we increase our awareness, we have a choice. Up to that point, it's habitual.
Exactly.
I do this, I do that. We're not aware. If you ask most people why they have made a decision, why did you buy that car? Why did you pick this out of the 5 things? So they've done quite a few studies on this.
Yeah.
They will show, according to brain scans, they've made the decision. Now they're trying to justify it. So they'll go, oh, I picked this because, and then they come up with a logical explanation, which is one side of the brain.
Yeah.
So they've done a lot of stuff with people who have just right brain or left brain.
Yeah.
And the right side can see it, the left side can't. And they've done some very interesting experiments to go, how do we decide what we want? So if you ask, what do you think of this? And they're going, I don't know. But the other side of the brain's going, aha, here's a little thing, and yeah, makes sense here. So they will come up with different explanations according to what makes sense to them, but they weren't really in control of that. But if you have awareness, now you can actually go through the process and go, okay, I'm doing this because, and now you have some control over it. So most of your thoughts are unconscious.
Well, and even in the context of logic, right? Like you get those aha moments and it becomes logical. It's nothing that's like something preposterous. I don't even know what a preposterous, like I know what a preposterous idea is when I hear it. However, what
I
I'm saying
can go halfway to that wall, another halfway, I'll never get to the wall.
Yeah,
Zeno's paradox.
Yeah.
Logically, math, well, that's right. I know I get to the wall.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, now there's a paradox because we're using both sides of the brain and they're going to look at it differently.
Yeah. And I guess what I'm saying is when we have those aha moments, it's an alien thought that becomes logical to us. It's almost like we've grown into a new plateau.
Yeah. Well,
right?
We try and use logic to justify and make sense of it, and I think that's part of what we're here for.
Yeah.
So in the Matrix, they have that one speech where Neo is going and the one guy is talking, that lady had wine, now she must go pee.
Yeah.
Right? Cause, effect.
Yeah.
You're here, but you don't know why you're here.
Yeah.
The goal is to understand the why. And
Yeah.
I think that's what the neocortex here is for us to go, we're not animals where we're just running on instinct. We can actually change how we're going to interact now. And that's the hard part, is because we're, like I said, we're focused on the past, the future, this, and all these things over here. But if we channel it correctly through something like meditation, we can make progress.
Yeah.
And what are we getting? Freedom.
Yeah.
So these things all bound me before. I was a slave to anger. I was a slave to this. I was a slave to this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there are thoughts out there. So some of the stuff is your own crap that's been put into there that you're not even cognizant of, and it's coming out.
Yeah.
And in the Christian, you have the devil. In Buddhism, you have something called Mara.
Yeah.
They can project a thought into you, and you're going, where did that come from?
Yeah.
They can't control you and tell you what to do, but they can put the thought in there and going, how are you going to react now? But you gain control over all of that once you break free of all the hindrances and all the different things. Now you have true power because all those things don't control you anymore.
Yeah, I guess for us, we find the salvation in Christ. Like for Catholics, you find the salvation in Christ, knowing that the devil can manipulate you in any capacity. I mean,
You're giving yourself over to something larger.
Well, and it's a humbling experience, I think, to recognize that Satan's been around a lot longer than I have. And his deceptive skills are a hell of a lot better than my skills of seeing what he can and cannot do, or what it can and cannot do. And so I need to cling on to this ideology of Jesus Christ in order not to be, for real salvation, saying that I can be saved from. And what I gather from the Buddhist philosophy is that you can rise above.
Well, the Buddhist, your first thing is you're going, Mara, I see you.
Yeah, okay.
So you're planting this thought in there. I see you.
Yeah.
Now you can start rising above it.
Okay. So I did the silent mantra body scan. I'm at body scan right now, and I have found the healing component of that. So I broke my ankle, or messed my ankle up some months ago. I could barely even walk the last couple of days. I went and did body scan today in my float. And it's not bad. You know, I can walk around. I'm probably going to go to the gym later on this evening. Mantra, I used positivity throughout the entire week, and that really staved things off. Silent meditation, I was able to deal with my anxiety in a way where I didn't have to deal. I talked about it earlier in the show. This episode, I'll be doing the synopsis of breath awareness. So, that being said, what are your suggestions for breath awareness? So these are, I should preface, these are all the things that I do typically in one meditation one meditation session. But what I did instead was I broke down all 4 that I practice within the hour or the time that I meditate. And I'm just focusing on one per week for like 15, 20 minutes. So what would be a suggestion for you that you could give me about breath awareness meditation?
So breath awareness meditation, there's a lot more to it than people think.
Okay.
So it can handle everything up from novice all the way up to somebody who's been doing it for 30 years.
Okay.
So what are you doing when you're focusing on the breathing?
So yeah,
you're gaining concentration.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're able to concentrate on one thing. So gently you go, oh, I heard a noise outside. That's a dog barking.
Yeah.
What we're supposed to do is go, dog barking. Okay, back to the breathing. You just gently keep bringing it back. You don't go, oh, I was bad. I'm doing this wrong.
Okay.
No, just gently back to the breathing. Over time, what you're going to gain is something called tranquility, where the mind quiets. You get rid of monkey mind, and it stops speaking as much.
Okay.
So that is another good goal, but even going to the highest level, you can understand all the processes. This happens, I have an intention, I have a thought, this disappears, that disappears, cycle happens again over and over and over. You can now see reality. So yes, it can actually get you to the point of enlightenment. So it covers the entire spectrum. So there are probably a few people who shouldn't do the breathing because they will do it wrong.
Okay.
So as a goal, we're not supposed to try and strain it. Natural breathing, don't try and control it. Just follow the breath, see what's happening, go with it. So there is no right, no wrong.
So almost
Some people, when you tell them, oh, you need to breathe this way, they get performance anxiety. They actually they get lightheaded, their heart starts palpitating, all these things because they can't let go.
So should it almost become rhythmic then?
Yes. I mean, if you're looking for the healing aspect, we do 6 breaths per minute through the belly. That is one of the optimal for getting rid of stress, getting back to healing, getting into a deep parasympathetic mode. If you can get it down to 5 breaths per minute, apparently there's other things that starts happening. But as a general rule, 6 breaths per minute will actually calm most people down. Like I said, there's a small portion that will become more nervous because they're getting performance anxiety, different things. For the people with anxiety, they prefer more things coming in. And then our goal sometimes, like we do the brainwave entrainment and different things, our goal is to overstimulate the mind to a point where it dissociates, get rid of the monkey mind, the ego, and all the stuff, and it will shut down.
Okay.
For some people, they are so against giving up control. No, I'm this anxiety, and this is what, and I can't give up control.
Yeah, it's their identity.
We almost have to overload them. Then, it becomes their identity. Then they can let go, and now we can start working with them. For somebody who is typically calm by themselves, a calm nature, they get to focus on one item, and that tends to be more beneficial. If you get somebody who's got the anxiety, they can't do it. Oh, this is boring. What am I? And just more thoughts and more stuff start racing into their heads. So if works for you, I'll go through the 5 kind of things that slow down the meditation process.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
They call it the 5 hindrances. So one is sensory desire. So I want to listen to this. I want the nice music playing. I want all these things here.
Yeah.
Now you're becoming more attached to those, and you're not letting go by the mind. You're actually strengthening some of those connections.
Okay.
So we were talking previously about if you try too hard to generate something, what happens? You get the opposite.
Yeah.
So it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So in Buddhism, they have something called the different jhanas,
Okay.
which are deep states of absorption. It is impossible to get in there until you get rid of these, like certain of these different hindrances. And the
Okay.
more you try, the more it's not going to happen. You just allow and it happens. I mean, another thing people don't usually get for meditation is they think they're supposed to be a special state. No, the kingdom of God is here and now.
Yeah.
Everything is here and it's perfect the way it is. Our goal is just to let go of some of this stuff and stop its control over us.
Yeah.
So it's not that we're going to this mystical experience and state over there. No, where we are is perfect.
Yeah.
So if you get anxiety and you get pain and stuff, okay, I'm in pain, focus on that for a moment, come back to the breathing and move on. At some point, the pain and all those things will suddenly disappear. You've let them go. You're no longer being attentive to them.
Yeah.
So the second one that kind of stops everything is ill will. So thoughts relating to being rejected, hostile, resentment, all those things. So as mentioned before, what do we focus on at that point? Is compassion. And that will go, I can have compassion for the enemy because they're just like me. And now you see them totally differently.
So these are the things that you want to obviously stay away from.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sloth and torpor, which is the one that comes up in North America. Well, I'm going to just shut my eyes here and they're asleep.
Yeah.
So these are all the things we're supposed to get that joy out of the meditating. And that brings in faith, that brings in other things like that. And all this energy will come in as the same thing going, this is worthwhile doing. All parts of the brain are buying in going, we actually need to do this. It's good. If you don't, then, oh, well, this is too hard today. I'm not going to meditate. I'm just going to go sleep here.
Yeah.
Then you stop doing it totally.
And I guess for even some people, like I try to get to it in the morning to start my day. I don't really like to meditate at the end of the day. I find that meditating at the end of the day, there's no point. I haven't set the day. You know what I mean? Like there's just, to me, a meditation is supposed to set the day as opposed to decompress from the day.
Yeah.
You know,
I still like the gratitude meditation at night because
Yeah.
it helps people sleep, shuts off certain parts of the brain.
Yeah, for sure.
So the other one that's hindrance is restlessness, inability to calm the mind. But that's where they're actually almost encouraging that monkey mind, and here we go.
Yeah.
Again, bring it back to the breath, and okay, like at some point, you'll start gaining control.
And I found too, when you're going to the breath, to look for that cool place that hits in the middle of your face, if you can find it. Some people find it in between their eyes. Some people find it on the tip of their nose.
Tip of the nose, yeah, different places. Each
Yeah.
person will be a little differently.
Yeah.
Because of their physiology, so they'll notice it in different places. If you want, I can go a little bit into, I can do either brain frequencies or some of the effects of meditation and how it changes the brain.
Either or, man.
Let's go into the meditation, how it affects the brain.
Sure.
So it's like I said, there's kind of two goals in the meditation depending on where we're coming from. Western is more get rid of the pain. So I mean, psychotherapy, all these things could be lumped into that category to some degree.
Yeah.
And then there will be other ones to escape this world and get to a higher state
Yeah.
called nirvana, which is there's no self anymore
Yeah.
and you don't continue. So meditation will decrease the left parietal lobe.
Okay.
And this will decrease some of those negative self-talk, verbal commentaries, quantification of everything. So I have to measure this.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, just let it be.
We actually call that taking inventory.
Yes.
So like I've done this for this person and this for this person. And then you actually keep that shit in the back of your head. You're like, they owe me whatever they owe me. But yeah. I agree that you got to get rid of that if you can.
We'll increase the right temporal lobe, which increases our spiritual awareness, wonderment, sense of happiness, ease, that life isn't that hard. And our goal is to get a balance between these two.
So I actually feel that from meditation. I kind of feel like life isn't that bad, provided that I do have a grounding of meditative practice. Sometimes it is looking through what's going to happen in the day and easing the anxiety. But for the most part, now that I have that insight of silent meditation, I don't even give a shit what happens in the day anymore.
Yeah.
The only thing that I really want to have an anchor in the day is the time that I meditate. However, everything else in the day, I kind of don't mind it not being planned out. You know what I mean? When I do something, I like planning it out afterwards. Like for instance, we just recorded. I'm going to edit. I'm going to add some music into it. I'm going to create some clips. That's all going to happen. But the time that we we came here and recorded and all that stuff, that doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? Like it could have been a Monday, it could have been a Friday, it could have been 8:00 at night, it could have been 2 p.m. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's inconsequential compared to
it decreases your reaction to stuff and builds up your resiliency.
Yeah.
So I mean, you have more resources, and you're going, these things aren't as important as they once were.
Well, and the other thing is to be able to utilize those resources. Like when you're confronted with something that's not where you're not in a schedule all of the time, then you're able to utilize all of your tools as opposed to, I showed up at 9:00 this morning and we're going to work till 5. And you know what I mean? Like that becomes and for some people they need that stability and that's cool. That's fine. For some people though, we like to utilize all of the tools that adversity might have to be used with or whatever.
For some people, it decreases their fear. Here's the stability, and here's like an autistic.
Yeah.
This is the way things need to be, or I'm going to freak out.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what I know, where I'm comfortable, and I mean, how much stimulation I'm getting.
Yeah, exactly.
The meditation will also calm the anterior cingulate gyrus.
Okay.
So what that is basically your idling speed.
Okay.
So it's like the gear shifter in the brain going, where are we going to be? At this mode, this mode, this mode, or this mode? So over time, that will decrease your anxiety and shift it down.
Okay.
And that's typically a good thing. I'll just use depression here as an example. So when we meditate, we increase alpha in the left-hand side, which is also almost the same as depression, the state. Now, the difference is when we meditate, we're going there on purpose and it's beneficial. When we're depressed, we've almost given up. There's no hope. So it doesn't matter. And they just there's no motivation, no nothing left.
Yeah.
So we're in kind of the same brain frequency state, but the overlying brain and energy and all the stuff is totally different.
Yeah.
So that's part of where the purposefulness of it comes in. And that will go back to the using certain drugs to get a certain type of experience.
Yeah.
It's not as beneficial if we're just going, I have that experience. Yeah, I mean, if somebody takes like LSD and that, all the colors, all the stuff, I don't see the world the same way. So it's opened up the box.
Yeah.
But again, they don't have control. And if, let's say, somebody is a little bit psychotic, So do we want them to actually have a vision of God? No, God for them is vengeful.
Yeah, it could be.
For a calm person, oh no, God's peaceful and that's harmony in this.
Yeah.
So I mean, when people aren't ready, we don't like to go have them do meditation and all the stuff. They need to deal with some issues first before meditation may be useful for them. If it's going to strengthen their ego, we're not helping.
Yeah.
So people like, let's say, chronic fatigue, which I'll get into their brain state here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm a victim.
Yeah.
Everything's due to someone else. All these things that happen to me.
Yeah.
I have no control over my life, and it's it's God's will or it's whatever, all these problems.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not accepting responsibility for their life. So now how are they going to get better? They can't.
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
They're stuck in a loop.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, really, they don't know how to get out. At all.
It's like when you point one finger at one person, you got three pointing back. Yeah.
So there's also, at some point, what happens is dissociation. That's where the ego lets go. So when we do the brain entrainment, there's a point at which you stop actually focusing on yourself and noticing all the stuff, and it lets go, and your brain will latch on to the frequency that we've set for it.
Okay.
So there's different frequencies I'll get to after I kind of do this part.
Sure.
But I mean, most people will know, like beta,
Yeah.
if it's too high, you're stressed.
Yeah.
For
Yeah.
alpha, it's like drinking 6 cups of green tea, getting the theanine and going, it's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So dissolving of the boundaries, that one can be increased by having empathy for yourself and others. And that's another effect of meditation, depending on what you're focusing on.
Okay.
So it gives you also improved metacognition, which is the ability to look at what's happening in your brain. It's almost like an independent observer that's not necessarily you.
So how would one actually practice this in their meditative state? So when you're meditating, what would be the journey that you'd want to utilize in order to like use this? Like,
so let's say if I was going to do like a meta meditation.
Yeah.
So the process is pick somebody you love.
Okay.
And do a meta meditation with them. So I already like them. They're good, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Then we keep adding on people like, my next door neighbor. I don't mind them too much. Don't really have a big positive or negative. And we start focusing on them. And eventually we'll get up to the enemies and having compassion for them as well. So you're just starting with something that you already know that you're comfortable in building upon that.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. I mean, we often tell people to pray for your enemies, not for them to die. We say pray for them to have a good day, right? Like wish them not ill will, but wish them a great will. You know what I mean? And as long as you're doing that, you'll find that for whatever reason they don't piss you off so much anymore. For whatever reason that is. Right?
I mean, even if you smile at them,
yeah.
Maybe they'll smile back and going, hey, maybe this guy isn't such a bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe their whole thing is we think they're bad and we've created them to be this monster, and they're actually just thinking the same because we're growling at them too.
How many times do we prejudge somebody and they're not even what we think they are, right? Yes. I mean, that happens all of the bloody time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a natural alpha rhythm, which is that like 6 cups of green tea, the calm, relaxed. That is our normal idling speed for the neocortex.
Okay.
So there's something called the thalamico-cortical loop.
Okay.
The thalamus regulates all the sensations coming into the body.
Okay.
And we try and get a nice idling speed there where it's not like a big overload or we don't notice anything.
Yeah.
So the goal is to kind of create a nice balanced outlook from that. So meditation will also help even everything out so that everything becomes more balanced. No too big high, no big too lows.
Yeah, yeah.
And they call it equanimity. Yeah, this is happening and that's okay. Can't do anything about it, so let it be.
So that's the premise of equanimity that you're saying is it's basically letting go to a degree. Right? It's like this is happening and that's happening.
Yeah, you're not being apathetic, so it's not a release from all that. It's not being overexcited. It's meeting all events with a calm acceptance and going, this is how reality works and how things are happening.
Okay.
And I can't change most of it.
Acceptance
is raining today. It's raining today.
Yeah, like acceptance is the key to all of my problems. Whenever I find a problem with something, it's because I'm not accepting it. it's not because it shouldn't be happening. It's going to happen regardless whether you accept it or not, right? You
Well,
just have to accept it.
one of the definitions of suffering is wanting things other than they actually are.
Yeah, yeah.
So now I got all the suffering.
Yeah.
Oh, it's raining today. Yeah, that's what the world is doing. Is
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
raining.
yeah,
The
exactly.
sun will come out
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Yeah. Today
But,
might be
I want it like this. I mean, that's a large degree of our
Yeah.
suffering.
Today might be a good day just to read a book,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
The other thing this one's very important for the meditation, increases blood flow to the prefrontal cortex.
Okay.
So the prefrontal cortex is our executive kind of part of the brain. So
Yeah.
it's able to make decisions, long-term planning, different things like that. So people with ADD,
Yeah.
ADHD, one of the big differences in there is they often aren't getting enough stimulation to the prefrontal, so it can't come in and plan. So they'll just go do something or say something, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you're fat, you're this.
Yeah.
Why did you just say that? Well, I didn't mean to. It just comes out, right? They don't have those little breaks where maybe that's not such a good thing to be saying. They can't plan and kind of keep that out very well.
Well, it becomes very reactionary.
It's reactionary.
Yeah.
I mean, it is an automatic thought for them.
Yeah,
They're just
yeah.
expressing it.
Yeah.
There's no
yeah.
break.
Yeah.
Moving us to the present moment. So we talked about that a little bit already, which is disconnecting from time and space. The body self will dissolve into the limitless mind.
Mm-hmm.
So some people will call that God or different things, but we are one with everything, and there's not a separation.
And so, how long? I guess that's a question too. Is like, how long does it take to find these attributes from meditation?
Okay, well, for meditators that did about 19,000 hours,
Yeah.
they found greater acuity in their ability to sustain attention.
In
So that would be
19,000 hours.
Yeah, that will be, well, I mean, it happens before that, but I mean,
Yeah.
that this is where they kind of said, we can pick it up on the brain scans and do all the stuff. These people can focus on one thing and maintain a focus. What they found for people who meditated over 44,000 hours is decreased activity and sustained attention. So now they're picking up on everything. So they're not focusing on one aspect anymore. That's not equanimity.
Yeah.
I'm seeing what's happening big picture. So I mean, in the shaman world, you could focus on one thing, or I can focus on the periphery, and I mean, anything that moves or becomes important enough, but I can see a big picture now.
Yeah.
So I'm not focused on one thing.
Yeah.
So when you meditate for a longer period of time, you're actually decreasing that again. So that everything comes in, but you're no longer reacting to all of it. So when you do that loving kindness meditation, you increase the insula activity, which is the self-awareness of the sensations in the body and what's happening. And you start doing more top-down versus automatic behavior.
Okay.
So the average person is run by habitual things.
Yeah.
They're not even cognizant of what they're doing most of the time.
Yeah.
Once you start meditating, you start noticing, paying attention to that. And
so paying attention to like your subtle movements, so on and so forth.
You have a chance to control everything and react properly. There's awareness.
So like kind of like sitting at the dinner table, you now have manners.
Yes.
As opposed to before not being conscious at all of any of those
Taking
manners.
that food and just boom, 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 and it goes.
Yeah.
And then you're after, I finished eating? Okay.
Yeah.
But if you meditate even longer again, what happens is it starts coming up unconscious from the bottom up.
Okay.
But you're not really reacting to anything specifically again. Your emotional reactions are now regulated by the unconscious. They are now automated.
Yeah.
Because you're not reacting to things going, that's the way it is.
Yeah.
So once you get to a longer period, you're actually switching from top down, from bottom up to top down, and then back to everything's unconscious again.
Yeah. Okay.
Decreased of self-referential thinking.
Okay.
So that again, that's making references from the self and the point of view of the ego versus these things are happening. So
In my
that is actually,
perspective, yeah.
your perspective changes.
Yeah.
The other one is There is less prefrontal cortex activation in response to emotional stimuli.
Okay.
So they're not going to react to everything. So I've met the Dalai Lama and those people. Everything's quite calm and, oh, this happened. Okay.
Yeah.
If you've met them, that's kind of his attitude towards everything.
Yeah.
There's not these big things happening. Oh, the projector, this isn't working. Okay, well, I guess we'll just go and talk like this.
Yeah.
So what they found is there's a higher degree of connectivity between the prefrontal cortex and the amygdala, the emotional center of the brain. So going, what is important, what isn't? It's actually filtering some of that out and going, all of this stuff isn't important. And increases the density of gray matter in the hippocampus. And this one is quite significant because it allows us to unlearn different aspects like fear. So for post-traumatic stress disorder, we can actually overwrite the fear response and replace it with something new. We can engage in new learning to replace the behavior. So it's not something we would start with. Somebody post-traumatic, no.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to come out. We wouldn't start them and just go start meditating here.
Yeah, because I know with my PTSD, there's times in the season where it's worse, and other times it's not even there. And the trigger for that, God, can be many things. Really, it can be. For me, it's more like legal issues. If I have court or something like that, then they're really bad. But I haven't had a court issue in a really long time, so it hasn't been that bad. But if I just had, for instance, a police officer following me behind, like in my vehicle, so I'm driving and then a cop pulls up behind me, I'll have a flare that night for sure.
Yeah,
for sure it'll happen. It's almost like thrown me into a place where I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah.
So the 4 kind of mental states that we're trying to get from meditating is loving kindness, compassion for yourself and others.
Yeah.
Empathetic joy. So we're rejoicing in the happiness and success of others.
Okay.
And that will also, so we're not comparing ourselves to everybody. Oh, they're getting hit. Good.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
Now we're not feeling, oh, well, I'm not getting ahead in doing this.
Yeah.
Half of our pain and stuff comes from comparing ourselves to everybody else. No, we are where we are, and
Yeah. It is what it is.
it is what it is. So
Yeah.
and then equanimity is the other one. So I'm going to go just briefly into the brain states.
Okay. So these are all the positive consequences and some negative consequences of
There can be some negative.
Yeah. So I think there's a good mixture between the two of what can happen when you're meditating and almost kind of like expectations, if you could use that word lightly. You know what I mean? Like this is where you're kind of going to a degree in a meditative process or meditative practice, right? So I think, yeah, I mean, I didn't really think that it was that vast. I know what I've been getting out of it, and it's been beneficial so far. I've had physical healing from it, and I've also had definitely a different understanding of the meaning of like what's going on around me because of it,
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, I think
Changes your role within reality.
100% it does. Yeah, 100% it does. It's not that reality changes. It's my perception, I guess, or the perception of what I'm doing in that reality is different.
Yes.
Right.
It gives you more control as well.
Yeah, 100% it does. It gives you a grounding, and you kind of know your recourse, because it's not like you're doing the same thing all of the time. Eventually you recourse into something different, right?
Yes.
So yeah.
So I'll get into the brain frequencies.
Sure.
Which we do, like I said, we have a set that was developed at the U of A.
Yeah.
And they do flashing lights.
Okay.
Put on a visor. And then they also have earphones, and they put different frequency or sounds in there.
Okay.
And we can actually change what the brain is trying to lock onto.
Okay.
So delta, most people will be familiar, you're 0.5 to 4 hertz, and you're in a deep dreamless state.
Okay.
So you're not really conscious. You're just above, and near-death experience is 1.5 hertz.
Isn't that the same thing as your television?
Television, I think, will be a little different.
Well, because so we were just talking on the show, it would be like last week, where when you're 7 years old, you're like basically in a hypnotic state.
You're in the hypnotic state up to about 7. I mean, age
Yeah.
4 and that, you're wide open.
And then here they are, well, my generation giving me bloody Kool-Aid with a whole bunch of sugar that's we found out is worse than cocaine. And then you have this television that's conducive towards hypnotic state, basically subliminally messing you up, giving you whatever message is necessary in order for them to, Hitler said it, you give me the children and you give me the education and I'll show you the future.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what that was. That was an indoctrination when we look at like all of the cartoons.
Well, he got
and all
it
that
from
stuff.
the Essenes.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Essenes said, give me a child for the first 7 years and I'll show you the man.
Well, and you know what? I'll put it to you this way. The Catholics did the same thing when they came out with the free education system. There's an indoctrination to the Catholic Church. There's flat out what it was. They taught you math and how to read and so on and so forth, but it was also an indoctrination into their faith. That's why it was free. The Catholic school was free.
Yes.
And they realized that if they gave free education at a mass, it was an indoctrination. And that's basically what our education system is in Canada, in all honesty. I mean, they're teaching us what they want to teach us.
Teach
you know
us
what I mean?
what to think, not how.
Yeah, and it's a
Yes.
molding.
It's a
right?
molding,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
So the next brain frequency will be theta, which is 4 to 7 hertz, which is deep relaxation and where you're trying to head when you get into meditation.
Okay.
So it's not quite sleep. You're not overly aware. You're in a deep, suggestible state, which is what the children are
Yeah.
in their formative years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then we will go up to alpha theta, which is the border between alpha and theta, which is the Schumann resonance.
Okay.
And that is just from the ionosphere, there's waves bouncing back and forth, and we kind of lock into those.
Yeah.
So what NASA discovered is if they didn't put the Schumann resonance up in the space shuttle, and when people were on the space safe station, they lost all concept. They were getting angry, irritable,
Oh, wow.
and they were also coming back when they came back to Earth. They were all having severe arthritis, some of which never really fully regenerated.
That's
so they
wild.
found if they actually put the Schumann resonance in here, the body, the frequencies between the heart and the brain would alter themselves and the nervous system would continue to function properly. Out in space, it's trying to lock on foreign frequencies and I just don't know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if people had rage inside of them, they were becoming very full of rage and trying to beat each other up and do different things. So
Holy
NASA
cow.
found, yes, we better put the Schumann resonance in there, and
Yeah.
that allowed them to kind of ground and be calm, secure, grounded, like they're touching the earth still.
Wow.
So then we get into 8 alpha, which is 8 to 14 hertz, which is a peaceful, relaxed state.
Okay.
So you can still use alpha when you're trying to change your beliefs or attitudes towards certain things.
Okay.
So in this state, you can overwrite going, this is the belief system I have. Here's a better belief system. You can re-inject that in. And if you keep focusing on it over and over, it'll actually create different pathways in the brain so that it doesn't act the habitual way.
So basically what we're getting at with these frequencies would this be to replicate a sound through a mantra while you're meditating?
Some of the mantras, some of the sounds will. So
Okay.
I mean, they have different sounds they associate with different chakras and different things.
Or even like the bowls?
Yeah, the
Right,
singing,
singing
bowls,
bowls,
all
right.
those. Even the singing bowls,
Okay.
they have used to prevent epileptic seizures
Okay.
because it's balancing the right-left frequencies in the brain.
Okay.
And we can sometimes ward off a epileptic seizure by using them.
Okay.
Then there's low beta, which is 14 to 22 hertz. You are alert, focused on there. But if we go too high in beta, that's anxiety, trauma, stress, and not a state we usually want to be in, which is 22 to 40 hertz.
Okay.
Beyond that, we're getting into stuff they haven't studied so much, but you get into gamma, which
Okay.
is where the advanced meditators can usually get into a gamma state. So they have tried using brain machines and different things to pull people into gamma. Sometimes that has worked out very well for them, so they can get into a deep Zen state equivalent to somebody who's meditating for 30 years.
Okay.
Other people weren't able to do that because they had some issues, and that would not be such a great state for them.
Okay.
So it depends on where the person is at a little bit. For the brain machines we have a nice little Zen mode on there, and it just puts you into a nice, deep, almost theta state. And we can use it for reprogramming or just letting go. I am safe, I'm secure, let go of all the tensions, all the stuff.
Okay.
So at least you're getting a reprieve from all the stuff and the pain coming in all the time.
So this machine that's providing these frequencies, is this available on the market? Like, could people buy this and then utilize it? Like, I was looking at New You. Have you ever seen this? Where it's basically a frequency machine while you're meditating and you're gone. Like, it actually can help with CT. So being a guy with a lot of concussions back in my past, it can help with CT issues. It can help with anger and all that. Because you're like, you can't control it with CT. Like, you just don't know.
There are better systems out there that use, the old systems use square waves. Okay. And they weren't as good. So there are certain companies that will make actually better systems where they're using a nice sine wave, slowly come into the frequency, slowly exit from the frequency. Some machines just went off the market because people were having issues where things were too abrupt for them.
Okay.
So there are better machines and stuff out there. I'll be putting a link on my website to where they're available. Sometimes I sell them, sometimes I just direct back to the company.
Okay.
But they can be very beneficial.
All right.
As far as concussions, what happens often is there's something called sensory motor rhythm beta.
Yeah.
So we put beta, the kind of stress alert, in one part of the brain, and we're bumping up the sensory motor rhythm, which is controlling the thalamus, and then inversely our idling speed for the brain.
Okay.
And we were bringing the brain back online. So what happens often in concussion, especially if they do an MRI and they can't find any physical damage, they won't always. Sometimes all that's happened is there's inflammation in there that does not go away. So if we can decrease the inflammation, get that part of the brain to start firing again properly, eventually, using the entrainment, the entire brain will start firing at the same frequency, and those brain parts will now start talking to each other again.
Yeah. Like I've had.
I mean, it's not a magic cure-all for everything. Oh, just do this and we fixed everything. No, but it can be a very good support tool.
Well, I know. With my last MRI, I was cleared, so I was fine. Most of the brain damage that I've incurred, actually all the brain damage that I've incurred is gone, compared to my second year in recovery compared to now. So 5 years is what it takes for the brain to really redo itself, so to say, is what they're suggesting, right? So, man, I mean, it's pretty
now
amazing.
They at least realize that the brain can recover and build new nerves around the damaged area, brain-derived neurotropic factors and different things. There's certain mushrooms that'll bump that up. And there are ways for the brain to balance, rebuild itself, or have other parts of the brain take over.
Well, and now they're starting to actually look at psilocybin as something that might be necessary to change brain pathology, right? And I think the way how meditation ties into all of that is really you're working the muscle. You know, your brain is a muscle. That's essentially what you're doing. I found terrific things with creatine. Since I've been taking creatine in my system, it's unreal the amount of attention span that I can maintain compared to before. I just didn't have the ability to do that. And now, I mean, it's not, I can sit down and read for like 40, like I can read 100 pages in one sitting, and it's not really a problem for me. Could I get that with just meditation alone? Maybe, but probably the creatine's really helping me as opposed to just meditation. I can typically sit for an hour and a half in a meditative state, and I can go further. Like I've gone 2 hours, like I've in succession. So like get up, move for, 10, 15, 30 seconds because I get like rheumatoid arthritis. I almost feel like I'm stuck, and I'll move, and then I can sit down and blast off for another 45 minutes. And,
most people will have a point of time where, the physical pain becomes too great. It's now distracting from the meditation.
Yeah.
But I mean, there is a point of time if you stick with everything, that it'll go away.
Well, and it, like at first, when I was in my teens, it was like 25 minutes. I couldn't go past that. Then it was 30. Then it was like 40, and then about 60. And then now I can surpass an hour in meditative state. It doesn't bother me, like sitting in one place. It's okay. I still enjoy floating, though, just because that's even easier than sitting in one spot, right? I mean, you just lay in a pool and you basically like... Yeah, if you haven't floated yet, that's the thing to do, man. Like, cause it just when I remember maybe the second time I floated, I felt like I surpassed 100 years of meditating.
Yeah,
that's what it felt like. It was just like it was almost like steroids. Just gave me that edge up, and then to reinstigate that sitting on the pad, I was able to do it. It's not
according
too far off.
to groups like the Essenes and the Gnostics. They would actually tell people to go into a dark cave for 3 days in complete, utter darkness.
Okay.
So when we're talking about the serotonin converting to melatonin, harmaline, and going down that pathway, it will go down that pathway. So apparently after 3 days, you will decalcify the pineal gland.
Okay.
And you will come out minus the ego.
Yeah.
And be reborn again.
Oh, wow.
So in some of the traditions, that's what they claim Jesus actually did. The 3 days was total darkness, whole thing. I come out, you will not address me by my name because I am no longer that individual.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is most people cannot handle 3 days without any stimulation coming in because their entire brain and what comes out. We did it. We tried it once with one guy. We're going to lock him in the basement.
Yeah.
He came up half hour later and it's like, you guys forgot about me. It's been more than 3 days. We're like, dude, you've been there 20 minutes.
Yeah.
They cannot handle what comes out. So it's not just a process where somebody can jump in and...
That's interesting.
So, I mean, those people will have more anxiety. They will discover a lot about themselves.
Yeah.
And not necessarily good things. Because these thoughts are going, where do these come from? Those are some of the impulses within them.
That's interesting. When you look at Devil's Island, when the French were bringing people to Devil's Island down in I forget where it was, but that was the island that it was called, like Papillon. Yeah. You know the book, right? They used to lock guys up for 48 hours in black with their straight iron ankle shackles, right? And you would hear people screaming in torment from the mental anguish that they would incur as opposed to the physical anguish.
It's more mental anguish at that point than the physical.
Yeah. I think that's where kind of, to go back to prisoners, I think that's where prisoners become mentally strong, right? You're able to incur those mental, just mental places that aren't normal. You know what I mean? Like you've gone in great depth into your mind and it didn't break you. You know, there are times though I've seen prisoners where they do get broken. You know, they're just not the same person when they walk out. Yeah. And that being said, I don't think anybody is the same person when they walk out of a prison.
They're not the same person. No.
There's no way from the person who walked in there, for the good or for the bad, really, right? So, and I think that there needs to be more meditative programs in prison. They don't have a whole lot.
There are a few out there that they have tried short term.
Yeah.
So they were going on for tranquility meditation.
Yeah.
Some were doing a little bit and they became model prisoners.
Well, and then
all these people are going, oh, do I get to go out of my normal duties and that? But then they tried sitting there, I can't do this. I can't do this. After the third, fifth day, they're going, I want to bring my friends in. But most of them actually changed. They suddenly understood the results of their actions.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing is to allow them to pick what module of meditation they want as opposed to dictating them. The reason why I say that is because a dictation of what they have to do, I mean, what person really wants to listen to anybody? You know, let's face it. So like if you allow them to pick, I think that there's more likely, because you'll cycle through, like as we were talking through this, or as you were disseminating this information to me, I was thinking to myself, this has really opened up the world of what meditating is. There's so many different things that I could probably go and try now and see what the outcome is, because really I have tried these 4 that basically do anyways within an hour or an hour and a half. And instead what I did was I broke them down to 15 minutes, 20-minute meditations a day, but just exacting it to that one practice.
Yes.
You know, not that I can't sit longer than that time, but that's the time that I have that I can dictate every day in order to get through that process, right? So, yeah, I think that there's a ton of, and that's the other thing too, is I think meditation is just as unknown as the brain is. You know, as much as we think we know about the brain, we're much further behind them. We're so far ahead that we're actually behind in the race.
Yes.
You know, that's really where we are. And I think that's the same thing with meditation. We're so far ahead that really we're just at the starting point.
The other important point is anything can be a meditation.
Yeah.
So Thich Nhat Hanh, he's like, oh, you're going to do washing dishes meditation.
Yeah.
I'm doing laundry meditation.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. And that's,
I'm walking the dog meditation. He's
Yeah.
like, work. Everything can be a meditation if you look at it the right way.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess that's the same thing. Some people working out, you know, going to the gym, that can become therapeutic and a meditative form, right? And all the, like, some people listen to podcasts when they're working out, right? And that becomes very rhythmic, right? And yeah, so I mean, I think that the world of meditation is wide open to perception, you know, and even the things that we've discussed here, or the things that you've disseminated for information, really are subject to one's understanding of it at the end
And
of
what
the
your
day.
goals are.
Yeah, and that's the subjective piece to it, right?
I mean, one of the points of Buddhism is to realize that life is unsatisfactory, that there is nothing that can bring you permanent peace and happiness.
Yeah.
Then you want to go down the path of Vipassana meditation and start trying to achieve enlightenment. If you don't believe or recognize that life is suffering, it's not
Yeah.
really the right thing for you.
Yeah.
Because you want to go out and enjoy life.
Yeah.
So maybe you need a different meditation that would allow you to enjoy life to the fullest now.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. So that's 2 hours, my friend. That was a 2-hour podcast right there. So I'm going to wrap it up. Where can they find you, David? Want to give a shout out to your email? Or, your...
Email, you can go nfh
Okay.
@shaw.ca. So NFH is Newfound Health, or they can go to yoursolutionsource.com.
Okay. Yoursolutionsource.com is your website.
Is website, yes.
Okay. Facebook? Do you have a company Facebook page yet?
Not yet.
Okay, it's coming though. And we'll actually put a link up in our blog as well to your website. Thanks for listening to the show, everybody. Please subscribe and share it to all of your friends. You can find the After the Show blog at www.lifeonlifestermspodcast.com. Please become a Pride member at your soonest convenience. All you need to give us is your email. We are not going to sell it to anybody. The only reason why we want your email is so that we can let you know about promos, let you know about all the blogs and podcasts that are coming up in the future. And we're also on a new platform called Minds. Minds is like the new Facebook. The difference between Minds and Facebook is that Minds is a blockchain format, so they cannot confine us, they can't tell us what to say, and they can't kick us off of their platform. So go check us out at Minds. You can catch the blog there and also some of the clips, and you will always get a link to the podcast page as well. Hope you guys are having a wonderful time, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.